but actually I learned that I only had part of it. So this is called We Are the Ones We've Been Waiting For, and it's attributed to the Hopi elders, the Hopi tribe elders. You have been telling people that this is the 11th hour. Now you must go back and tell the people this is the hour, and there are things to be considered. Where are you living? What are you doing? What are your relationships? Are you in right relation? Where is your water? Know your garden. It is time to speak your truth. Create your community. Be good with each other. And do not look outside yourself for your leader. Then he clasped his hands together, smiled, and said, "This could be a good time. There is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel they are being torn apart and will suffer greatly. No, the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of our shore, push off into the middle of the river. Keep your eyes open, keep your head above water. And I say, see who is there with you and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment that we do, our spiritual growth and journey will come to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones we've been waiting for.
I'm here to remind you of your magnificence, to help you awake to all the wonder that you are. I long to show you all the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you how much you're truly loved.
And so now in this moment, during this sacred time, We allow ourselves to be reminded that we are our own best source when we are connected to spirit, that we have wisdom beyond our present knowledge, that we can access, that we can tap into, that we can live by and share with as appropriate, and that each and every one of us was born capable and connected, and that we need not fear. We are the ones we have been waiting for, and this may indeed be a sacred hour. And so I speak my word that each and every one of us opens our hearts and our minds to that knowledge which is available in mind to each and every one. And we do create each moment now and as the time before us unfolds, a better world, a world worthy of the souls which live on this earth. And we allow this to be, and we name it good and very good. And so it is. Amen. And now I give you Reverend Angelica.
All right, then. So today's message is Unwritten. And I was thinking about this. This is one of the suggestions that CSL gave us. And when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about last week's message when we talked about being in the cocoon, that we're now in the cocoon space. And it made me think about how everything in front of us is unwritten. I mean, normally it is anyway, though we have some routines and there's things that we know are going to happen, etc. And yet right now there's a sense of uncertainty, and that uncertainty unnerves a lot of us. And it also reminded me again of Pema Chodron's idea of living in the groundlessness of being, which I think is a beautiful phrase, the groundlessness of being. In other words, being okay with living in that uncertainty. And yet in this idea of unwritten, there's the possibility of what we can write. And so that's what today's message is about, is what are we going to write about? But first of all, I wanted to share this statement by Thich Nhat Hanh. He says, we have a tendency to think in terms of doing and not in terms of being. We think that when we are not doing anything, we're wasting our time, but that is not true. Our time is first of all for us to be. To be what? To be alive, to be peaceful, to be joyful, to be loving, and that is what the world needs most. I know that in myself, I'm used to always doing something, and yet sometimes I have to force myself just to be, whether it's in meditation or in prayer or studying or just sitting in my garden or whatever it might be. And now I'm realizing with this cocooning that we've had, that to be is the most important thing that there is. And in the being, we're learning how to be in touch with the powerful presence that's within us, and we're learning how to be more peaceful. We're learning how to be more joyful and more loving. More loving, definitely. I mean, if you've been watching Facebook or even the news sometimes, especially on Facebook, you're starting to see a lot more of that kindness of our nature coming out in all the things that are happening. I mean, even around here, I've heard, well, I actually haven't heard it yet on my street, but I think it's at 8 o'clock at night, lots of people go outside and howl or make noise. And honor of our first responders and the hospital workers and everything that are doing the work that they're doing. And I also think it's an opportunity to let off some pent-up energy. I haven't started it yet on my street. I'm afraid somebody would call the police or something, who knows, or think that something's wrong with me. But anyway, so as we continue our journey of change, that's where we are right now, is on a journey of change. Some of us like it, some of us don't. And in each moment of this journey is an opportunity for us to make new choices. We can look at the choices we've made before and begin to make new ones. And Dr. Holmes tells us that we come from a limitless potential, and that we can bring into our experience anything that we can conceive. So I go back to that idea of the imaginal cells in the chrysalis, in the cocoon, and how those imaginal cells are making something totally different than what was once a caterpillar. So I believe we're going to keep our bodies, of course, but we're going to be something totally different. And since we have this limitless potential within each one of us, why not bring ourselves into something much greater? In fact, that much greater to me is a more conscious alignment of being one with spirit. And so he also says, Dr. Holmes says, as our mind aligns to the unlimited possibilities of the law, we consciously write the unwritten story of our lives. So what is that law? It's done unto you as you believe. That to me is bottom line law. And so we remember in this idea, that simple idea that it's done unto us as we believe, is the limitless potential of unconditional love, as well as infinite intelligence. And those things are already within us. So as we align with those qualities of spirit, we begin to consciously write the story of our lives. So I have 3 ideas for us. One is that our stories have shaped us. We're born, like we said, from this infinite potential. We live in a field of limitless possibilities, and yet our stories have shaped our attitudes, our beliefs, and our behaviors, and either limit or expand our experience of life. So most of you know my story, having been adopted by a family that was abusive. And I could still be working under those ideas. Those beliefs gave me, those behaviors gave me a feeling and a belief that I wasn't worth anything, that I was much less than my brothers and sisters who were their real, birth children, that I was lucky to have been adopted by this family, no matter how they treated me, whatever. So those stories, that story shaped my attitudes and beliefs and behaviors probably until I was in my late 20s, when I really got into metaphysics. And once I got into metaphysics, I was able to work through grieving, work through forgiving, work through all the things that were necessary to become what I am today, with no attachments to those stories. And so that made me think about the fact that as we change ourselves right now, I'm wondering if when the butterfly emerges, if it really remembers being a caterpillar. Are we going to take these stories with us? Well, the thing that I don't know whether the butterfly has a choice to take its memories with us, but I know we do. And we can either take them with us and allow ourselves to limit the new stories that we're writing, or we can decide to leave all of our baggage behind and expand our experience of life. And no matter, there's a lot of good in our stories as well. Even though I had a unpleasant childhood, my mother taught me about art and the beauty of fashion and artwork. And I was reading before I was 5 years old, and learned a lot of things through books that she gave me. So there was lots of good in that too. So that too expanded my attitudes and beliefs, and I can take that stuff with me. I don't want to drop all of it. We don't want to drop all of it, but we want to let go of the things that have been holding us back in any way. My second idea is that, not my idea, this is Dr. Holmes and many other teachers' idea, of course, we're much more than our stories. We are co-creators of life. So we direct infinite potential by unconscious and conscious use of the law of life. And through the use of this law, we have the ability to author new chapters that will bring us more joy and more contentment in our life. A story here, I could probably pick up just about any journal since I left Hawaii, and I would be able to find a list of what my right and perfect mate would be and all the qualities that I want them to have. And I was thinking about that this morning when I was recording a dream in my journal, that now is the time to sit down and make lists about what we want our life to be like and what we want our community's life to be like. And what do we want these new chapters to be? These chapters that are going to bring us more joy and more contentment in our lives. Some of us, already have 99% of the things that we want in our life. We're feeling good about it. And some of us have little areas where we could make it a little bit better. And so remembering that we're co-creating this life together with the infinite is really important, and that we can consciously use the law. I mean, that's like the one-note story of religious science. You can constantly use the law to create your life. My third idea is our world story is waiting to be written. So our individual stories make up the collective stories of our families and our communities. As I was sitting in the hospital with Donna and Susan and Bobby the Thursday before last, I heard some wonderful stories about the years that Susan and Donna had known Bobby. And I thought, these are the part of the collective stories of our community, of Eureka Center for Spiritual Living's community. And since Bobby made her transition, I've heard lots of other stories about what a difference Bobby made in people's lives. Things I heard were like, she was the first person that really acknowledged them when they first walked in on their first Sunday, that her classes were really powerful, that they loved her laughter, and lots of things. And that has become, a permanent story of our community. So our individual stories are making up the collective stories of our families and our communities and the world. So the choices that we're making and the stories that we're going to be writing have the power to bring forth great good in our world. And so I'm challenging or inviting, whichever one you like better, everybody to write a story individually and collectively that brings forth more peace, more kindness, more love, and more unity. In this world story that we're hearing right now, something that, incredible is happening. I firmly believe something incredible is happening. Something sad is happening as well. And so we have to feel our feelings. And yet out of this chrysalis stage is coming something amazing for our world. And I believe that it's going to be, the borders aren't going to be so marked. The kindness is going to happen worldwide. I mean, already, you know, California sent a whole bunch of medical equipment to New York. South Korea sent a whole bunch of medical equipment to Europe and the United States. China has sent medical equipment. And this is, I'm hoping that it's not because of, oh, we can make some money if we sell these to, you know, the other place. I'm choosing to believe that it's because we're done with them. Let's clean them up. Let's send them to somewhere that needs it. And there's so many stories all over the world of people that are taking care of each other. I think we're coming to a place where we're finally realizing that we are all one, that we're unified in this life experience. So whatever your individual story is that you're making, that you're going to be creating, that you're imagining while we're in this cell, this cocoon, allowing our imaginal cells to work, allow yourself to make up your story in a way that serves the world. And you know, the best way that we can serve the world, unless we were Bill Gates or one of those people and had lots of money, would be to change our consciousness about anybody out there that we are afraid of. Anybody out there that we're disliking or resentful about. To change our minds so that we remember that underneath these different colors of skin is the same bone structures, the same blood vessels, the same organs, etc. That we're really on a consciousness level and on a physical level, we're all the same. And so let's write a story that brings forth more peace in our world, more love in our world, more kindness. Dr. Holmes said, the presence of spirit within you blesses everyone you meet. For you are a blessing to yourself, to humankind, and to the day in which you live. I think that we would say this as well. We could add, you are a blessing to your world. You know, our world, when I say your world, it made me think of our world really consists of many different layers. My world, for instance, right now is in this house on Primrose Avenue, surrounded by 4 cats and a whole lot of rose bushes and plants and redwood trees. There's the first, well, that's the second part of my world. The first part of my world is this body that I'm living in. Because in truth, this body is just an earth suit that my spirit put on to be in this particular dimension at this particular time. So then there's my home, and then there's our spiritual community and our city, and there's California, and then there's the United States, and then on and on into infinity. So by our becoming a blessing, by our paying particular attention to our consciousness, we're blessing everything. Absolutely everything. And my easiest way to know how to bless or how to pay attention to my consciousness is to be right where my body is, to notice what I'm thinking, to notice what I'm feeling, to notice what I'm doing in a more conscious way than I have before. And for sure, to pay attention to the presence of spirit within me, to pay attention to the presence of spirit in absolutely everyone. Somebody made a comment to me yesterday about going to the market and seeing everybody with the masks on, and all you can see is their eyes. And I thought, oh, this is good, because how many times do we look strangers in the eye? And now we have no other way, no other place to look. The truth is, there are no strangers. There's only a reflection of you, a reflection of spirit in front of us. And that's a good thing. So together, let's say this affirmation, and then we'll go into prayer. Today, I begin to write the unwritten chapters of my life and create the life I desire to live. Whatever I know for myself, I write for all people. Indeed, I write for the world. So let's pray. How grateful I am to acknowledge this powerful presence that is within each one of us, that is surrounding us, filling us up, blessing us beyond measure. How grateful I am to realize that this wonderful divine energy is in all the spaces in between us. It might seem like each of us are in our own homes, and yet we are connected by this magnificent energy of life. So knowing this connection, I speak this word into the law as each one of us. I declare I am ready and willing to write a new chapter, new chapters in my life. I am ready to drop all that no longer serves me and move out of this chrysalis phase into a new life, a new world, a new me. And I do this by paying attention. I do this by paying attention to the one power, the one presence, that one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is the life I am living right now. And if my mind says, oh, but my life isn't perfect, I now release that and let that go, because the life I am living is God's life. And so as I write my chapters, as I let my imagination run wild, I let myself include the feelings, not just the scenes of what I want to see happen, but the feelings of what it feels like. How good it feels to be able to be free again, to be the butterfly, stretching my wings, letting them strengthen, letting myself fly. How wonderful it feels to be in contact, physical contact with others. How wonderful it feels to be creating together a new world that works for everyone. How wonderful it is to remember that it's all God. It's all good. So gratefully, we acknowledge the virus that put us here, knowing that somehow in our collective consciousness, we created the ability to be able to go within without all the busyness, without all the to-dos, except for those to-do lists we've made for our homes. How wonderful it is to know that Spirit as us is moving us forward. And whatever we create is going to be amazing. Whatever the world creates together is going to be absolutely amazing. So this is my truth. I stick to it. I know it is so. And I release these words into the law with a grateful heart. Grateful for all of us who keep coming together. Grateful for this teaching. Grateful for technology. Grateful for everything. And I release it all into the law, knowing it is already so, and so it is.